What's up guys, Nukin here, and I'm back with another Galaxy Heroes video, and this is going to be a video on how to run the First Order in the Heroic Sith raid. So this is phase 2 against Darth Sion, and so I have two different lineups to basically run and be successful in this raid phase, and then I will also be making a phase 4 Darth Sion First Order video as well. I want to do a very quick shout out to Vripa from the First Order server, who basically connected with me because he saw my old school First Order modding video. If you're interested in basically that, I'll do a quick little montage right here.
All remaining systems will bow to the First Order.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was from a how to mod First Order video before we had Kylo Ren unmasked. We just had poor Phasma trying to lead the First Order to glory. Anyway, so back to the shout out. I want to do a quick shout out to Vripa, Minawara, Sternbach, Thardus, and Arrow, and I've been kind of chatting with all of them, and we're trying to basically come to a consensus with our theory crafting on how to optimize the First Order in the Heroic Sith raid. So hopefully we basically did it right and you guys benefit from all of our hard work. Anyways, so hopefully this video is enjoyable and informative, and if it is, give it a thumbs up. It means a lot, and let me know in the comments below what you're doing with the First Order and the Heroic Sith raid. Are you running them in phase 2? Are you running them in phase 4? And what lineup you decided to go with. All right, so without further ado, let's talk about how to run the First Order against Darth Sion.
So let's start talking about what lineups to run in phase 2. So I have 4 different lineups here that I suggest that you should run in this phase, and keep in mind that you don't need to have these specific characters. If you just put a bunch of First Order characters under Kylo Ren unmasked leadership, you will do relatively okay. But if you really want to do the maximum possible scores that are approaching 1 million or more, you're going to want to use one of these 4 different lineups. So the very first team suggestion is the current record holder, and so here is a damage screenshot of a phase 2 Heroic Sith raid hit, about 1.5 million. This was done by, I believe his name is Amell, A-M-E-L-L, so a very big hit. And as you can see, First Order Executioner, Foe, or Fox, or whatever you want to call him, he's doing the majority of the damage, about 900k right there. In the middle, we have my sort of favorite team combination, which actually does not use the other Kylo, the Kylo Master version. It uses a SF TIE pilot, a First Order Stormtrooper, and a First Order officer, and so it's more support to actually maximize Fox's strengths. So I like to use the middle team here. And then as well, we have one other team suggestion. There has been some success with people who have used their First Order squads with a Hermit Yoda. So Hermit Yoda is the only character in the Heroic Sith raid which you can use over and over again if he can escape with his ability, and so putting him on a First Order squad is actually very good. And I've also seen some hits over 1 million with Hermit Yoda on the squad. So now let's talk about Zetas. So one of the nice things about the First Order is that they're not super heavy dependent on Zetas to perform well in the Heroic Sith raid. Really the only Zeta that you need that is required is Merciless Pursuit. That is Kylo Ren unmasked leadership ability. This is a great leadership ability Zeta. Now, on top of the leadership ability that's already good, it takes it to a whole new level. You get more flat speed, more turn meter generation, which means your characters are taking more turns. The more turns that they take, the more damage output they can do over the course of the battle. On top of that, it adds another 15% critical damage, so the characters that are taking their turns are going to be hitting even harder. And then lastly, whenever a first order ally gains a status effect, that means a buff or a debuff, they're going to recover 5% health and protection. So it brings a lot of sustainability, so it helps your characters to get closer to that enrage. After Zetaing Kylo Ren Unmasked leadership ability, I would definitely do Return Fire. This is First Order Stormtrooper's unique ability. So when you Zeta this ability, First Order Stormtrooper is going to basically call a ally to assist 50% of the time whenever he does anything, basic attack, special ability, etc. And so if you can call some of your First Order allies to assist, especially Fox, that's going to be super awesome. The more times that you can get Fox to attack, the more health he gets, and the more health he has, the more damage he deals. After Zetaing those two abilities, you can then proceed to Zeta Outrage if you want to go a little bit further. Now, Outrage is a special attack from the OG Kylo, the Kylo Ren, the mass version, and so that helps Kylo Ren to recover some protection. Now, most of the time you're going to be using lash outs, so you're not going to use Outrage too much, but it will help you a little bit. I'm not sure if it's actually super significant. I was very close to actually suggesting this from being advised to extra, so that's debatable. It's probably more useful for phase 4 versus phase 2. And then lastly, we have the extra Zetas. So if you're going to use a extra character that's not a first order character, then by all means, give them a Zeta. A lot of people who have Hermit Yoda, and Hermit Yoda was one of the suggested characters on the lineup. A lot of those people that have Hermit Yoda have a Zeta on strength flows from the Force, and then some people actually have both of Hermit Yoda's Zetas. So that's an option. And then going back to the first order, Kylo Ren Unmasked has a Zeta on his unique, and that's going to help to double his counter chance when he's taunting, so you can get a little bit more consistency there, but definitely not required to have a great heroic Sith raid attack. So now let's talk about gameplay strategies. So in the beginning of the match, there's a series of actions that you definitely want to take. With First Order Officer, you want to swap turn meter and give offense up to the Executioner, and then spam his special on Darth Sion. With Kylo Ren Unmasked, you want to stun the Sith Assassin right away, and you want to taunt up with First Order Stormtrooper. With the Masked Kylo, you want to spam his lash out throughout the battle. With First Order Officer, you want to use his second special on characters that have tenacity down, which is applied whenever Kylo Ren Unmasked does his basic ability. Now, if you really want to be a tryhard and get maximum possible scores, you want your First Order Stormtrooper to be Zetaed, and you want him to be calling the First Order Executioner to assist. The more times that he can go, the more opportunities he has to build up his offense. So watch this. I just taunted with First Order Stormtrooper, and he called First Order Executioner to assist. So let's take a look at this again. So First Order Stormtrooper uses his taunt and calls Fox to assist. And as you can see here, Fox is gaining max health, and this is a stacking ability for the rest of the encounter. The more health this guy has, the more offense he has, and the more damage output he can bring against Darth Sion. So the more opportunities this guy gets to go, the more damage you're going to have for the rest of the battle. So it's very good to basically call him to assist, and if you can do this in the very beginning of the battle, that will sort of compound for the rest of the encounter. Now, First Order Stormtrooper can also call Fox to assist on his basic attack, and so here's an example right here. First Order Stormtrooper is going to use his basic attack, and then boom, Fox is called to assist. So this is the sort of strategy that a lot of people are using to get those scores over 1,000,000 with the First Order. They're having Fox basically get his health pool ramped up so he can do those big damage numbers. Now, this is a lot of RNG, right? Because you need need to have first have a 50% chance dice roll, and then you have a 1 in 4 chance to call one of the other first order characters to assist. The good news is that first order stormtrooper has a counterattack, and so he is going to be doing a lot of basic attacks if he's attacked, and the first order cycle through their turns a lot because there's a lot of turn meter generation. So over the course of the battle, you should be able to call Fox to assist at least 2 or 3 or 4 times on average. But if you really want to get the maximum possible score, you're going to want basically almost every opportunity to have Stormtrooper call Fox to assist. So now we're going to fast forward towards the end of the battle, and there comes a point when both of your tanks end up dying, and that's perfectly okay. So first order Stormtrooper just died, and you're going to be left with Fox for sure. He's always going to be the last one standing, and 1 or 2 other characters. And so what I want to showcase right here is the Zeta on Kylo Ren, the mass version. So here's basically where it can help you. So you can squeeze in a little bit more damage. So here's Kylo Ren, and he's down to almost no HP, and so he's going to do his second special here, and then he's going to recover some protection, but then Darth Sion counterattacks and he's back down to where he started. So yeah, we can get, you know, maybe an extra hit or 2 off of him if we're lucky, but not super exceptional. Most of the time you're using his lash out, so I would actually Zeta first order stormtrooper before even thinking about putting a Zeta on the masked Kylo at this point in the game. So let's quickly look at the damage screenshot for anyone curious from this battle. I did about 800k. This was my second try, and of course it's not the maximum score, but it was pretty consistently getting me close to 1,000,000 with this team composition. Of course, if you have faster characters and more offense secondaries on your tunes, you'll do even more damage, and then you definitely want Fox to be called to assist even more to get that maximum possible score. Now let's move into my favorite first order team composition for the raid, and here we go. So in this lineup, I take out the older Kylo Ren, the masked Kylo, and put in SF TIE Fighter Pilot. So he has a second special where you can call First Order Executioner to assist. Now, we're following the same sort of strategy. We're trying to ramp up First Order Executioner's health pool a ton so he gets a bunch more offense and can do a lot more damage. So we already kind of had a character that was doing this in First Order Officer, where you're giving turn meter and offense up to Fox, and now we have another character that's basically dedicated to supporting Fox to making him better. So they have like one job: support Fox. And so with a little bit of luck with First Order Stormtrooper calling Fox to assist, and 2 characters that are dedicated and have no RNG elements to basically call Fox to assist, then you have a lot of opportunity to have a consistent team that can produce high scores. So with this team, I did 1,000,000 damage, and so that is over 200,000 more damage compared to the team composition that is currently holding the record. So I believe that, because I also only played this team a few times, that this team can probably consistently get 100k, 200k more damage than the other team consistently, because you have less RNG elements to have to fickle with, because you have the SF TIE Fighter Pilot who is always calling Fox to assist. You're basically guaranteeing yourself that Fox is going to hit a certain threshold of max health, and in turn getting a certain level of offense and damage output. So you are still subject to First Order Stormtrooper RNG as well, and that will definitely increase your score, but you're less reliant on it because you have another character that's dedicated to support Fox. So if you're in a guild that is currently zerging phase 2 of this raid, and so the phase is going by very quickly, or if you're just a very busy person in general and you don't have all the time in the world to go back and retreat a bunch of times, then you're probably looking at the go-to First Order lineup against Darth Sion. So you're sacrificing that higher damage ceiling with the Kylo Ren masked version and that turn meter generation for another character that's dedicated to to support Fox, so you're sacrificing the higher damage, maximum damage ceiling for consistency. So over the course of the long term, on average, you're going to hit the Sith raid a ton. And so if you would average all your scores with both teams, you'll find that with this team over the long term, you'll actually have higher damage numbers, and so that should lead you to actually ranking better in the raid and in general. Really, the only thing that I can really see that's going to change my opinion on the most optimal team is if we finally get some more first order characters that we did not receive from The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. So we still don't have Snoke, and we still don't have General Hux, for example. So maybe if we get some of those characters, we might swap out maybe one character on this team and make it a little bit better. But other than that, I think this is the go-to team, and so I'm personally going to be running this team whenever I have the opportunity to hit the raid. So that wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about with you guys today. Hopefully you guys found this video to be informative and enjoyable, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. It means a lot. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I make videos all the time, and be on the lookout for my phase 4 first order video where I will showcase how to run the faction in that phase in the heroic Sith raid, and I will also be going over some modding suggestions. So I'll see you all in my next video. Cheers.
Then I'm the macho like Randy. The club will go ice again.